Happy Easter to you all. October 5th was a day of challenges and also a day of miracles. It was the day that my niece called out, "Auntie, can you come over?" I went to see her. And then she said to me, "I'm having cramps." She was 25 weeks pregnant. Call out to my husband. And of all the days nobody had gas in their cars. My car was crashed, my son's car was crashed. But luckily my nephew from New York had just arrived about 5 minutes before. And we were able to jump in one of the cars. In fact, it was my husband's car that didn't have gas. We took her to the hospital. We took her to the gas station to get gas so we could take her to the hospital. But she was screaming so much that I wondered whether or not I should have called 911. As we drove quite fast along 527, we realized that there was a volunteer station just as we turned the corner. We pulled in, and there was an ambulance. And with their help, we were able to get her to the hospital. I didn't even think that the baby would be coming. She was only 25 weeks pregnant. Well, got to the hospital, and they had to perform an emergency C-section. She had the baby that day. The baby was only 15 ounces, and we prayed that he would survive. They had to rush him to another hospital, which was about an hour away at the Monmouth County Medical Center. So while my niece was trying to recover from a C-section, our baby was an hour away. I started reading on a daily basis, and on January 8th, I read a portion of scripture that caused me to question. I stopped and thought about it a lot, and it was Proverbs 2:6-15. And there's a verse in there that says, God will be our shield, our guard, and our protection. And when I read that, I stopped that night and I asked the Lord, I said, do I need all three of those things? I felt in my mind that if surely, God, if you're my guard, that's enough. Or if you're my shield, that's enough. And if you say you'll protect me, then that's enough. And I asked him again, do I need all three? Then I concluded that if God is saying that he'll be my shield, my guard, and my protector, then I need all three. And so when I closed the Bible and got on my knees to pray, I asked God if he would be my shield, my guard, and my protection. On January 17th, on the way to work, I was in a car accident. I swerved off 195 and went into, I don't know, bushes, shrubs, some desolate place. And the car crashed, knocked down a series of trees. And at the point where I thought, well, I guess I'm dying here, the car continued to go, and then it descended downward and flipped over into what I would describe as a ditch. And when the car came to a full stop and I was on my side in the car, I asked the question, who is going to find me down here? When I realized I was living and isolated from the rest of the world, I was wondering, is death going to come? Is it going to be long? What's going to happen? I didn't know. And just as I asked who was going to find me down here, a voice said, I'm here. Are you all right? I'm not going to leave you. I saw everything that happened, and help is on the way. Immediately when I heard that voice, the scripture came back to my mind about God being my shield, God being my guard, and God being my protection.
All the glass in the front windshield was broken. It was everywhere, but I was shielded from being dismembered. I was able to feel that my legs were intact, my hand was intact. There was no blood coming from my face. The only thing that had been injured was some cuts, lacerations they're called, on my right hand. And I was shielded from being a paraplegic. I was guarded because someone was there as a witness as to what happened, and that I would be all right, and safety, I would be taken to safety, and I was protected from death. So that I perceive as being my miracle. And I received my answer from the Lord in that, yes, I needed all three. I needed him to shield me on that day. I needed him to guard me on that day. And I needed him to protect me on that day. And he did.
The next day, the nurse came in and she told us, he's not really 15 pounds. He's actually 1 pound, 14 ounces. That to us was a miracle because we were so doubtful that he would survive. He was the size of my hand. He was so tiny. And every day we would go and we would pray because the doctor could not tell us whether or not he would survive. It kept saying to us, well, if he lives 75 hours, that's a good chance. If he lives after that, that's a good chance. So we kept going every day and we kept praying. And then we realized that my niece had named this child Caleb. And when we thought about Caleb in the Bible, we realized that she had given him that name for good reason, because it meant strength. But fast forward 2 months later, it was almost around Christmas, we were told that this baby was not going to come home until he was about 6 months old, which would be in April, because of all the difficulties and the challenges that he had. Around the week of Christmas, my niece called and she said, Auntie, they're thinking of discharging Caleb. And I'm like, no. Because in my mind, because they had told us April, I was like, there's no way it would be safe for him to come home. Caleb came home 2 days before Christmas. And now he's almost 6 months old. He's doing very well. And we are so thankful to God that we have this child. We call him our miracle baby, Caleb. And today we dedicate him to the Lord.